Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Whoa, I was starting to get nervous. That was a little late. How you doing? Welcome to yet another show. I know, I think it's Monday too, but it's actually Tuesday. It's July 6th, and that means Susan should be joining us. Hello, Suze. Not? Well, okay.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
The phone was on mute.
The phone was on mute. That could be a problem.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I can hear you. And yeah, things are getting off to it feels like a Monday. Often Mondays are days for snafus, technical glitches. It's like over the weekend, gremlins come in. And so it just still seems like Monday to me. I know it's Tuesday. Okay. Oh. So,
what are you saying about? I'm the one that's saying, ugh.
Well, we both had very busy holiday weekends. I think when last I spoke on the show, I was saying how I'm not into holidays and I don't have anything planned and heck with it and the fireworks and damn it and blah. And I was very grinchy and grouchy. And then I ended up having a bunch of people over and this and that. And so I'm tired. Susan was up in Green Bay with her entire family, which now numbers 3 grandchildren and 2 in-law, son and daughter-in-law, and my mom. And so, and she was, I imagine, sort of the one in charge. So that'd be exhausting.
It is, but here's the thing. I'm so out of practice. I mean, first of all, this is the first time, and it sort of boggles my mind. This is the first time that I have been together with all of those people in the same place, unmasked, unsocial distanced, since December 2019.
2019. Yeah. Isn't that something?
Now, that is not to say that I haven't seen them all separately, but this is the first time that we could all be together as a family. And it was just we didn't do anything but be together. It was really quite lovely. And, and usually my son and daughter-in-law and my daughter, I mean, they all take pictures nonstop. I don't think we even did that. I mean, we took a few here and there, but not like we usually do.
Well, because you were living it and not.
We were in that, in the proverbial moment.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I know that I, as I was saying goodbye to the folks that were at my house, and grabbed and hugged one. And I thought, geez, this is just so, I'm sure that a lot of people are having these moments now that some of us are venturing back out into our lives. And that's just really, really nice. So it was a good holiday for Susan and for me, but we're still recovering.
Well, yes, because, I mean, when everybody left, then there were 8 beds.
Yeah, right. Well, all of
and
that.
4,275,000 towels.
Yeah.
And, and yet more dishes and, it's just amazing. And then there's always the problem of now my dog doesn't like to walk with just me.
Oh, right, because he expects a crowd. Well, yeah, these things are also, the dog was in heaven. And I just want to point out that as you mentioned all of those things that have to be done, I wanted to, what bumped into my head was women's work. Because I don't know, if there's some guys out there, protesting what I just said, that, they end up having to do the 500 million towels and change the sheets and the beds and take care of all of that.
Yeah,
wow,
well, you know, I'm gonna stick up for my son and my son-in-law.
Well, I know you are, but Susan, the men I know.
Yes, I know the men you know, but these men, my son and my son-in-law, and I do not think that they are unusual. My son does all the cooking. I mean, he does all the cooking. He does all the shopping. They have a real division of labor in that house. In my daughter's house, you know, same thing. I'm watching my son-in-law be the most spectacular father. You know, so there's that
all
word.
right. You said spectacular.
I did.
Right,
I said there's that word.
You're done.
I'm done.
All right.
But I'm just saying that's not fair to men, and heaven forbid I should be the one to say that. I'm usually the one that's mad at men.
That I have to tell you, the numbers and research still say I'm right.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't tell you how grateful I was that I raised my children the way I did, because otherwise I would have been dead by the end of the weekend. As it was, it took all of us working to get it all done.
Yeah. And it's generational. It's you know, baby boomer men are much less inclined to feel that they have to pitch in, as was certainly the men of our parents' generation.
Oh no! In my house, the way my marriage worked, it was that Eric did what he did, which was psychoanalysis, and I did absolutely everything else.
That's right, and it just occurred to me. I don't mean to be crabby, but you know. And I do think of like all our family, you know, celebrations, you know, Passover and when we're together, Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, even in our family, it is overwhelming still that the women are doing the preparation, are setting the table, are thising and thatting, are cleaning up, and the men, not so much. Just saying. I'm just saying. And you know, women have a tough time in a lot of ways. Hey, I saw the greatest movie. You got to see it. It's a documentary, sort of, concert film, Summer of Soul.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing marvelous things about it.
Yes, it just came out.
Yeah.
And it's, wow. I mean, just wow. First of all, what's amazing is that we might never have seen it. This was a series of concerts held in Harlem outdoors in the summer of '69, and it was filmed, but it never saw the light of day. No one ever saw the film. It was stuck in a box in a closet somewhere. I mean, just the raw footage. Nobody had ever done anything with it. And so that is what? That's 50 years ago, more?
52.
It's finally come out. And we want to thank Questlove for somehow he got his hands on this raw material.
He's a rather remarkable human being, Questlove.
Yes, he is. And I'll tell you, the documentary introduces you to others and reintroduces you to so much talent. You can go nuts. It was just unbelievable. This is 6 weekends. They had a concert the people that were there, the acts. I mean, you think of it. Yep, they were there. Stevie Wonder, B.B. King, Nina Simone, Mahalia Jackson, Gladys Knight. It was unbelievable. The Staples singers. Oh my God, Mavis Staples. She's my favorite. Just extraordinary. So if you want to travel back to '69, and what they do is they weave in the history of that time as well. And
did you know really about Mavis and Mavis Staples and Bob Dylan?
No.
Yeah, they had a thing. They really had a thing.
They did?
Yeah.
Where was that?
And I mean, to the point that, they really were in love. It was.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, I was listening to Mavis Staples say it. That's why I'm saying it, Lynn. I was listening to an interview with Mavis Staples.
Okay.
And she was talking about it. I'm going, wait a minute. Yeah, she was. They met very early on. When he was just starting, and she just thought she thought his music was so incredible that he was writing songs to be sung by Black people. That he was writing better spirituals and songs reflecting their life than they were.
Oh, no, don't say that.
That's what she was saying. I'm quoting what she was saying. And she wanted to sing his music. So they did. They recorded a lot of his music, but that started a relationship between the two of them. They became very close. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there's a bit where with her and Mahalia Jackson that's just, oh, dear. Anyway, I want to thank I want to thank Milt for telling me about it. And it's in theaters, and I didn't go to the theater, but it's also on Hulu. But I think in a theater it'd be pretty remarkable.
Well, the sound would be better. I'm just not ready to go to a theater yet.
Yeah, but I was talking to friends who did. They said they were one of 6 people in it.
I'm sure.
So now's the time to go to a theater.
Yeah, now's probably the time to go. There. Right.
Nobody's there. So there is that. And just wanted you to know it's playing at the Manor and at Lowe's, and I forget what else. Oh, gosh, there's so much stuff to talk about. Trying to figure out where to go from here. How about this odd thing that I found in The Week magazine? So some of you will have seen this too. This Australian woman, Susan, had to have, I think, a tonsillectomy. I didn't even think they did that anymore, but they had to have some kind of tonsil surgery.
What do you mean? Of course they do tonsillectomies.
Well, they used to do them all the time.
They used to just routinely take them out of children, but they don't do that. And so now grown-ups get very sick with tonsils, and a tonsillectomy as a grown-up is far more painful than a tonsillectomy as a kid.
Well,
anyway,
so
go
I don't
ahead.
know. It just said tonsil surgery, so I don't know. But her name was Angie Yen. She's 28 years old. She's of Asian descent. And she emerged from the surgery speaking in an Irish accent.
I've heard about these phenomena.
I thought I have too, but I can't think of any other specific. She came out, and this 28-year-old Asian who's never been to Ireland and has no reason to talk in a brogue is now speaking in a brogue.
And it's a result of the anesthesia, we think. I would think.
But they don't know, and the doctor said that she might never get rid of it. That's now how she might speak for the rest of her life.
Well, the brogue is sort of charming, and
I know, but you're well, geez, that would be. I mean, I am sorry. Wow, poor woman. It is a charming accent, but she's Asian and Australian, and that's a wonderful accent too. The Aussie accent. I don't know what she sounded like before.
Well, yeah, one wonders.
Like she's from. Yeah. So yeah, that kind. I guess weird stuff can happen. Just saying. I wanted to pass that on.
Well, I think maybe in 3 weeks, when the last of the anesthesia is thoroughly out of her body, she'll sound how she used to sound.
But the doctors say that's not necessarily was going to happen.
What do doctors know? They made her do this in the first place by accident.
God almighty. God, just saying. I read such a moving piece by David Axelrod.
I read that too.
Did you read that?
Yeah, I did.
And it was a David Axelrod, the guy who sort of
ran Obama's campaign.
Sort of did. I mean, technically it was David Plouffe, but Axelrod, the thinker behind the campaign, and he turns out has a 40-year-old daughter who has been severely disabled since she was a child, having suffered just untold numbers of epileptic seizures that messed up her brain and, just stunted her. And, other than, I didn't know that about him, but he wrote about her and how he and his wife despaired of what would happen to her after they're gone, who's going to care for her, and how lonely she was because she didn't have friends, and he was so worried that her life would be just sitting alone in a home somewhere. And then he says that they found an institution, probably sort of near where you live, Susan.
Yeah.
Do you know where it is?
I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and this institution was just a godsend, Misericordia. And he calls it a community for people with intellectual disabilities in Chicago. And it totally changed her life. I mean, she had friends, she had activities, she was able to do some work and jobs and have value. She goes swimming every day. An incredible place.
She goes to restaurants with her friends.
Friends, walks in the neighborhood. She's a life. But now, he says, because of very well-meaning policymakers, frankly, on our end of the spectrum, are now sort of fixated on the fact that large institutions like she's in are bad places. And
well, just parenthetically, many of them are. And it is it is precisely because of the bad places doing despicable things to people with, limited capacity that the movement started. But what his point is it's never all, and it's never, either, you shouldn't be forced into, you can't have this. If there's a good one, you should be able to have it.
It's not one size fits all. And what's happening is Medicaid funding, which these places would rely on, is starting to be focused only on small, group homes and other things that have replaced this, asylum. Which,
by the way, small is no guarantee of safety, and in fact could make it easier because there's fewer eyes. So
yeah, exactly right. So his point, and why we fail to we fail in this regard all the time. We get fixated on an idea, and we make it simple so we can, win people over. So it's either or. And he says it shouldn't be. I'll read his words here. He's talking about when, the horrors of some of these institutions were uncovered. There was a decades-long battle to just close those things down. And many of them were run by the state. You wouldn't want to be in the state home, right? And then the movement to put people in small apartments, in homes, in residential neighborhoods. But then he says this, but now the ideal of that has hardened into dogma. And that's what happens to us. You start with something and then it becomes dogma. And he says the dogma is all large communities are bad, all small neighborhood-based groups are good, which is, of course, absurd. The size would determine the quality. And this kind of rigidity that sets in for all of us, I think, dealing with issues is just so damaging. And, you know, as he says, one size fits all is usually not a good answer. And he says, and what is painful is that these changes are being promoted by good people trying to do the right thing. Many are my friends and former colleagues. And I thought it was a really powerful piece. And maybe he reached some people, I hope.
No, it's worth examining that you can't just go running with, you know, what we thought was a good idea like 30 years ago and never re-examine or look at the results of what putting that policy into effect actually did. What were the pros? What were the cons? Was it worth it? Should it be tweaked? What should happen? This happens across the board, and it doesn't have to be libs or conservatives. It's all of these things. Policies shouldn't harden into dogma. That is the point. And these things always need to be reexamined because life isn't static. Why should a policy be static?
Right. I don't know. It's just like I don't know. But we do that a lot.
We do it a lot.
There was also a piece I saw. This is totally changing the subject. That had a headline that just, you know, immediately, it's one of the things you see a headline, you think, what? And you have to read it. That's a good headline. It was in the New York Times magazine, and the headline was "How to Undress Someone Quickly."
Was it flagged by every teenage boy?
Well, you think, what? I mean, what's that doing in the New York Times magazine? And they have a little thing that's called tips. They tell you something you wouldn't have known. How to undress someone quickly. So when I had people for dinner on the 4th, I told them the headline, and I said, "What do you think it was about?" And it was a table full of really smart, imaginative people. None of them could come up with that thing.
And administering first aid?
No, that was something they came up with, you know, like sort of like in ER, cutting your clothes off, right?
Right. Broadway show changer, dresser.
Exactly right. So it's written. That's right. So it's written by a woman who had to get people's clothes off, and totally change their clothes in it, sometimes as, you know, 35 seconds. Yeah. Right. So that's what it was. Just wanted you to know that, you know, you don't have to read it because odds are you don't have to undress someone quickly. But that's her job, how to undress someone quickly. And it becomes obviously in a Broadway show a really choreographed affair when changes have to be made. It's not like you can't not make it. You know, if your character has to turn into a totally different thing and get on stage.
Right. And there are several productions where one person plays several different characters. For example,
that's right. Hamilton. Right. So that has to, you know, be something. So that's what it was about. How to undress someone.
Yay. I figured it. No one at your August table figured it out. But
they got
your
stuck
kid's sister got it.
Yeah, they got stuck on the that it was a metaphor, how to undress someone quickly, how to, you know, see, I don't know, but whatever. An
effing metaphor.
Yeah, because they couldn't imagine what the hell. Anyway, hang on a minute here. Okay. So Bob is reminding me, and this is something I did want to talk about because I went ballistic when it happened, because I'd already mentioned Sha'Carri Richardson because of her, just extraordinary, huge personality and her gift. And I'm so looking forward to her the Olympics and to find out that, what?
Are you hearing that beep?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's our mother.
Mom! Mom! Did she hang up?
Yes.
Well,
she was making a call.
Well, okay. I was going to tell her to get on. We'll talk to her for a sec.
She's all the way down at the other end of the house. Do you want me to do that?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
So she's out because she smoked some pot. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was stunned that pot would be considered, steroids.
Considered doping, right? How is this? Isn't doping supposed to equate performance enhancement?
Yeah, enhance your performance. And man, if you're stoned, I'm sorry, that's not going to help you sprint.
I know. Sometimes my boxing trainer sometimes asks me when I'm seeming a little droopy, a little early.
Yeah,
did you do something before?
Yeah. I heard somebody talking about that for some sports, you could maybe make a case that pot might benefit you. They're sports requiring, incredible calm, like, I don't know what, shooting the gun. I don't know, archery. I don't know. Do they do archery? Whatever.
Sure, they do archery.
They do?
Yeah.
One of my favorites. So anyway, I just think it's, I'm stunned, and I think it's outrageous. And I just want to say that. I think
a lot of people do. I think the hullabaloo about the woman turning away from the national anthem is appalling too, because I do think they set her up. I think they wanted to make an example out of her, and it's irritating to me. As I said to someone who says, "Well, you're representing your country," and I thought, you can love your country. I mean, I loved my little kids when they were growing up, but I didn't think they were perfect, and I thought they needed to be corrected, sometimes publicly. So I don't see the difference between that and your country. You love your country. It's not perfect. And sometimes you need to correct it publicly.
Well, whatever. I don't listen, that the cat's out of the bag with that. I mean, people are going to protest. Individual athletes are going to. And I wish everybody would chill. I wish everybody would stop having to be outraged all the time. And it's because the media, again, look for these things that make us crazy, right?
Right. I mean, let them do it. No one pay,
just tell. Who cares? Why did anyone even have to know?
Right.
I'm sick of this crap.
Well, it's much the same as the media proclaiming Kamala Harris can't be president. Within the first year of her first term as vice president.
Right. I mean, it's just annoying as hell.
Some man somewhere made this decision, and it's just being printed now everywhere.
That's right.
And it pisses me off.
Well, it's media not doing their job.
It is media not doing their job, and they need to get better. But we're destroying media.
Ain't going to happen. Right. It's not going to happen. So, another case in point, again from the week, because that compiles all the stuff that grabs people's eyeballs. And it's the kind of thing that, made me crazy when I read it. And I thought there was no reason for me to have to know this, but it pushed my button. And here it is. Brandeis University is advising faculty not to use the term trigger warning. What's funny about that is trigger warnings became the thing that all
right. You're triggering me. Now you can't trigger.
No, you can't say trigger warning anymore because the word trigger has gun associations. And that in itself may trigger somebody.
Okay.
Okay, now does that not make your head want to explode?
It makes me. This is the one thing that I can't stand. That everybody is such a delicate little flower that we have to be careful not to say anything that could upset anyone. And by the way, folks, anything could be a thing that you press on a device meant to create harm.
Anything to trigger anybody. Yeah. So we're going to have to just not talk anymore. You just cannot talk
or discuss ideas.
Right, for fear of triggering. Someone. So also, this same crowd of idiots said they actually put out an updated list that is headed oppressive language list. I'll tell you what's oppressive, having an oppressive language list. Also on it, they say they discourage use of the term killing it for doing well and take a shot at for trying.
Well, I'll give it a stab.
By the time they're done, there won't be an But by the time they're done, there won't be an idiom.
There's not a word. There's no idioms. There's
not a word. There's not. You cannot.
You can't use a metaphor nor a simile for fear.
No. Yeah. Everybody, you're just
that it might push a button. You can say push a button. There's nothing terrible about pushing a button.
Well, just wait.
I hate
there
buttons.
Is.
They scare me.
I'll tell you why. Buttons.
Atomic bomb.
No. But I saw a piece about how those little button-shaped...
those button-shaped batteries eat out your esophagus of a child who swallows
swallowing them and they're killing them. So you can't say button. Because what if someone there had a child who was killed by a button battery? No, you can't talk anymore.
I'm going to change the subject just because I'm looking out the window and I just saw a squirrel do the most marvelous thing.
They are amazing.
He walked to the very tip of a very teeny little branch hanging way out from the very top of a very tall tree. And I couldn't figure out why he wanted to be there. And then he just leapt across open space to the tree about 10 feet away and went on with his business. Well, that was very cool.
They are amazing acrobats. I have been looking actually at a tree outside my yard while you were talking, and I'm freaked because there's a whole branch that looks dead that I never noticed. Oh, God, breaks my heart. Bree in Malaysia is asking me an odd question. What are your impressions of Madison, Wisconsin? Why, Bree?
Vis-a-vis what?
Yeah.
I know lots of good people that hail from Madison and that are regularly in Madison. It's a great town.
It was. I can't speak for it now. I mean, I lived there before I came to Pittsburgh, but it's a great town. Great little town, beautiful and vibrant, and it's a great town. Although a friend of mine happened to be there this weekend with her family, who live in Chicago, and they must have gone up to southern Wisconsin just for the holiday. And she sent me a picture of her grandson standing in front of the state capitol building, and their Capitol building is absolutely gloriously beautiful. But I wrote back to her when I saw it. I said, I used to, so love that building, and to think of all the wonderful progressive politics and policies that were created there and came out of there. And I said, and now I look at it and I just think it's a nest of vipers. That glorious edifice is now filled with these right-wing fascist wannabes.
Right. Well, and Robin Voss, the most fascist of all of them, that is in trouble for Trump for not being fascist enough.
Enough. I know. It's just it's beyond belief. It really is. So no, Madison is a beautiful, beautiful liberal city. The university there obviously has huge sway, but state government's there. So it has beautiful lakes. And we're about 50-50 politically, so every blue-leaning person that wants to come in, come ahead. Yeah, let's make more blue people. Anyway, so that's Madison to me. Madison is just part of Wisconsin, which in general is really quite a lovely, bucolic place to live, filled with basically good-meaning, nice people. Yeah, but they those basically nice people elect people, like 50% of them elected Ron Johnson. I don't think that'll happen. That's right. Yeah. No, I don't either. But you don't know. I mean, they, the crazies have who the hell knows? I just can't. I can't take it anymore. As you know, I have little hope. And did you see that after the kerfuffle about Nikole Hannah-Jones, the woman who authored the 1619 piece for and won the Pulitzer, right? And won the Pulitzer, and then was given a position at University of North Carolina that always comes with tenure, but was denied tenure. It wasn't denied; it was withheld, and then finally granted. It was withheld. Fine. Well, yeah. So they finally, because all hell broke loose, they reconsidered and offered tenure with it. And she just announced, you can take your tenure and stick it. So she's going to Howard University, which is great. I think for these, she's a MacArthur Fellow. She won one of the Genius Awards. And I love that, even with her extraordinary credentials, this Southern university would not grant her immediate tenure, as it would if she were. People need to understand how obvious what they do is, how clear their meaning is, how totally you just can't read it anyway, but the obvious. Right. And also, so why should she want to work for those white people? No, why should she? I think it's great. And what's even more wonderful is she's going to Howard, and guess who else is? Yeah, Ta-Nehisi. Yeah. Who's gonna pursue his bachelor's degree at the same time? I think that's wonderful. Right. And so he's a MacArthur Fellow. Those are these two black geniuses, rather than going to the University of fucking North Carolina, are going to go to Howard. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Screw those white folks. It's just, it's just humiliating. Yeah. How hard is it simply to acknowledge something? I mean, this brouhaha about critical race theory, which I just, I defy anybody to even define it when they're so upset about it. No, you know what it is, Susan. It's waving a red flag in front of a
Well, that's what I mean. You know,
it doesn't have it.
It's such stupidity. What, you want to teach that's I don't even understand what they want to teach. That there wasn't slavery, that there was slavery, but everybody was happy and nobody profited off of it. I mean, what is it exactly they want to not teach?
You tell me. They don't want to teach the truth. They don't want to teach.
They don't want to teach the actual history of the country. But I can't figure out how you leave out the Civil War,
or you know, the founding and the slavery and 1619 and the whole bit. How do you do that? There was an incredibly moving piece about a white woman living in Georgia, I believe, who lives in the most, actually, just so here, I'll place her politically where she lives. Her district is represented by that Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Greene, yeah.
Okay. There, that's her neighbors saw fit to send that hate-filled fascist to Congress, and she came into, her grandfather died and left her his farm, which had been in the family for, you know, forever, well before the Civil War. And she's a white woman.
Oh, I read this piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And she started learning more about her family history. They weren't rich people. They didn't have a plantation. It's not that. But it turns out they owned, at one point, I believe, 7 people. Sounds like a family. It was a man, a woman, some children. They owned slaves. And she is, I mean, would that there be more people like this woman. She's 41 years old, and she is on a search of what morally and ethically she should do with these 300 acres she is going to have. She feels and understands that her family benefited from this, owning this land, even though, again, they're not, they're sort of like poor white people. Not poor, but not well off. And she can't bear the fact that, anyway, they talk about her odyssey and what she should do. And she's reached out to many Black people, and they are not of one mind of what she should do, especially since the poverty rate in her area is more than twice the national poverty rate. It is. She said, if I tell my neighbors that, you know, they have white privilege, they're going to look at me like I'm insane because they're dirt poor.
Right.
So she's really struggling, but she does acknowledge the white privilege. So
because they'd be even dirtier and poorer.
Right. How to atone for the sins of her family. So, and you talk about the stories, you know, the Republicans wanting to change our history because it's unpleasant. And when she came upon paper that showed that, yes, her great-great-great-grandfather owned, it was 7 people. And she's holding this paper and she's saying, this is mine. the family story is mine. Am I going to stick this back in a drawer and forget about it? And she thought, she has 3 daughters, and she said, I want them to know their history. So she's not afraid of the history, but she's troubled by it.
Yeah.
And then looking further, guess what she finds out? The land was initially acquired because the federal government held a lottery in 1833. And guess what they were giving away?
Land.
They were giving land to white folks, land that had belonged to the Native Americans.
Right.
And as it's pointed out, that key portions of the Trail of Tears are right near the valley she lives in. So that land was Native American land. The Native Americans were force marched to Oklahoma, and their land was given away. So this land in her family, just 300 acres, was land that was appropriated by the federal government and given to white folks. And then black folks were enslaved on it. And that's a history for a lot of Southern white people that, yes, is difficult to take in. But it's reality. And, you know, she's in a situation where her doing this publicly, I mean, I hope she's okay today, because she's not, you know, she's been quietly doing this work.
Right.
Her neighbors don't necessarily know about it. This is total Trump country. And the person who wrote the article actually contacted the former chair of the United States Commission on Civil Rights, Mary Frances Berry, because she has called on the federal government to start a reparations super fund and figure out how to make some reparation for what happened to the Native Americans, to the blacks. And when she was told about this woman, listen to what she said. Any small sum that she could pay would potentially impoverish her, and it would not be really reparative. And it could be dangerous for her. The risk I am talking about is not just about people shunning her, but the risk of people doing violence to her or her family. Some people may well take it upon themselves to shut her up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Mary Frances Berry said. Wow. So that black woman warned this white woman, be careful. And she should know. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah. Except, well, her doing what she feels is morally correct doesn't force anybody else to acknowledge anything. I don't know why.
No, but I mean, no, she's gonna once. There was a front page story in the New York Times.
Yeah.
The New York Times came calling. There are pictures of her black neighbors. There are pictures of the black minister whose support she sought and who she's been, the one black guy who's tried to help her said she's deep in Confederate country, trying to do this work. So no, black people are scared for her. And I think that is, given our political climate, given the fact that we're seeing so many people incapable of controlling themselves, who go ballistic and deadly very easily. How many people were killed in this country over the weekend? Did you see that number?
No.
It's over like 100, 150 or something. We're a crazy place. We're a crazy place. Just saying. Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
Am I a bad person because increasingly this is things that annoy me. Do you remember when you used to be able to, invite people over for dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And not have to ask each individual one what they would deign to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to say this. I was at someone else's house eating this weekend, and one of the guests was talking about having had some folks over for dinner. And my God, what he went through to feed them. I mean, he was in, and he wasn't complaining. He was just saying what he did. I'm the one who went crazy. And, I guess these were vegans. Okay.
Yeah, vegans are tough, but I mean, I know a guy that literally that has issues, health issues with digesting meat fats. So in that case, I don't want to serve him anything that's going to make him sick. But
here's the thing: what people have had these issues all forever. It's just now that we're also entitled. Well, I have a gluten deficiency, and I have this, and I really don't like that, and I don't eat this. And you know what? If somebody asks you to dinner, you go.
Eat it. Or say
and
no.
You eat whatever you can eat. So if you can't do meat, and unlike Susan, your host didn't know that, you eat whatever you can. Whatever happened to being a gracious guest, not expecting that someone's going to make 7 different friggin' meals for you? I so am sick of it. I'm sorry. And or bring your own food.
Well, but I honestly, the people that I know that have actual health issues, that's what they offer. And they offer it because they would prefer to be in control and not be accidentally poisoned by someone who goes, oh, the butter won't matter. Or oops, I forgot, So, I mean, people with actual health issues usually do. And it is very difficult to figure out how to deal with everybody's stuff. It happened to be, for me, I used to pride myself in knowing in my head what everybody liked to eat, and then I would simply fashion a meal that worked. But it gets very complicated now with vegans and the one that and gluten free. At least you can make good tasting vegan food, but gluten free, this is a problem.
Well, this poor guy, speaking of, I forgot what he needed. He needed bread.
Yeah.
And he said, I was in the bread aisle looking at the small print on every package because they won't eat whey. They won't eat whey? Whey.
Yeah, I know. WHEY. I'm just, won't is different than can't.
Won't. These are the vegans. They won't eat. I guess they don't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, whey comes from milk. Whey comes from milk.
Okay,
right.
so how? And I'm thinking I would know more. I am so sick of it, guys. Just go and push the food around on your plate like you did when you were a kid. Okay. God. Eat before you go.
Or you host the party. I mean,
right. I have friends that I simply cannot have over. I won't, because I'm not going to become an anxious wreck trying to cobble together a meal they'll deign to eat.
Well, I didn't. The person that I'm thinking about, I didn't do properly twice, and then when I finally figured it out, it became, can I make a really delicious meal that could, happily feed this person, that I would be proud to serve them, and that we can all eat as well, and then serve the protein on the side, and blah 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 blah, which I did, and I learned a whole bunch, then made up a few new recipes, and they were absolutely delicious.
Well, that's wonderful and good for you, but count me out. I'm sorry.
Well, but we come at this differently, Lynn. You were never a happy person in the kitchen to begin with, and I think didn't really start to cook until you had to, right?
That'd be correct.
And I've been cooking since I was 3.
Yeah, you like it. I don't. Although, I really worked at mine this weekend because I was having people and I wanted. I did.
Well, you're a good cook. I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. But
no. But and the one thing I was doing an absolute regular 4th of July. So there were burgers and potato salad. And one of the guests called me the day before and said, "So you're making potato salad?" And I said, "Yeah, first time. I've never made potato salad." He said, "Well, of course," he says, "you're not making it with mayonnaise." And I said, "You damn well betcha I am, because I'm making a traditional 4th of July." And I could tell he was right there, out.
What did he want? Olive oil and garlic and a little?
Yeah, sure. I'm a progressive. Mayo is just not. I don't know. Anyway, it was the best thing I made. It was very time consuming. Geez, there was 500,000 things in it, but it was good.
I'm sure.
Anyway,
did said person eat it?
I didn't even look. Actually, the person I had been thinking of that I made it for was another guy who I know is a picky eater, but he told me, "I just like meat and potatoes." I could tell he's picky when I've been out to eat with him. So he doesn't eat fish. He doesn't do this, doesn't do that. So I thought, well, he's a meat and potato guy. I'll make him a traditional potato salad. And, he was sitting right next to me. I said, "I made this for you." And he looked like he was going to puke.
Right. He wouldn't eat potato salad. It's got crap in it.
Right.
A meat and potatoes person wants to be able to see the potato in the jacket with maybe some butter in there.
All right. No, he wouldn't eat it. I actually said, "You got to take at least one bite. I made it for you."
No, you can't say that to you. No wonder he looked like he was green.
Oh, God. All right. I think we're out of time, Suze.
I think we are, too.
Okay. Well, you're not going back to Chicago today.
No.
You're going Thursday, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go back on Thursday, yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, continue your rehabilitation, your R&R.
Yeah. I still have a few beds to make, but other than that, I'm just, and I have to box. Oh, crap. Okay.
Jeez. All right, that's your choice, babe.
Yeah, I know, but it's good for me. Okay, and we didn't even talk about perturbation exercise, which I find out I actually do but didn't know. We can talk about that some other time. Okay.
All right, I'll go look it up.
Okay.
All right, you
perturbation
guys.
exercise. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Stay cool. See you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.